This article is about the daughter of Oedipus. For the daughter of Eurytion, see Antigone. For the play by Sophocles, see Antigone. For other uses, see Antigone. In Greek mythology, Antigone is the daughter of Oedipus and Jocasta, Oedipus' mother. The meaning of the name is, as in the case of the masculine equivalent Antigonus, worthy of one's parents, or in place of one's parents. Classical depictions. Antigone is a daughter of the unwittingly incestuous marriage between King Oedipus of Thebes and his mother Jocasta. She is the subject of a popular story in which she attempts to secure a respectable burial for her brother Polynices, even though he is seen as a traitor to Thebes and the law forbids even mourning for him, punishable by death. In the oldest version of the story, the burial of Polynices takes place during Oedipus' reign in Thebes, before Oedipus marries Jocasta. However, in the best-known versions, Sophocles' tragedies Oedipus at Colonus and Antigone, it occurs in the years after Oedipus' banishment and death, and Antigone has to struggle against Creon. In Sophocles' version, after Oedipus' death, it was decided that the two brothers, Eteocles and Polynices, were to reign over Thebes taking turns. Eteocles, however, did not want to give away his power, causing Polynices to leave Thebes to set up an army. In the fight against Thebes, the two brothers kill each other. After this event, Creon declares that, as punishment, Polynices' body must be left on the plain outside the city to rot and be eaten by animals. Eteocles, on the other hand, had been buried as tradition warranted. Antigone determines this to be unjust, immoral and against the laws of the gods, and is determined to bury her brother regardless of Creon's law. She attempts to persuade her sister Ismene to join her, but fails. Antigone buries her brother by herself. Eventually Creon's guards discover this and capture her. Antigone is brought before Creon, where she declares that she knew Creon's law but chose to break it, expounding upon the superiority of divine law to that made by man. She defies his arguments, provoking his wrath and punishment. Sophocles' Antigone ends in disaster, with Antigone hanging herself after being walled up, and Creon's son Harmon, who loved and was engaged to Antigone, killing himself after finding her body. Queen Eurydice, wife of King Creon, also kills herself at the end of the story due to seeing such actions allowed by her husband. She had been forced to weave throughout the entire story and her death alludes to the fates. The dramatist Euripides also wrote a play called Antigone, which is lost, but some of the text was preserved by later writers and in passages in his Poenissae. In Euripides, the calamity is averted by the intercession of Dionysus and is followed by the marriage of Antigone and Harmon. Antigone also plays a role in Euripides' extant play The Phoenician Women. Different elements of the legend appear in other places. A description of an ancient painting by Philostratus refers to Antigone placing the body of Polynices on the funeral pyre, and this is also depicted on a sarcophagus in the Villa Doria Pamphili in Rome. And in Hyginus' version of the legend, founded apparently on a tragedy by some follower of Euripides, Antigone, on being handed over by Creon to her lover Harmon to be slain, is secretly carried off by him and concealed in a shepherd's hut, where she bears him a son, Maïon. When the boy grows up, he attends some funeral games at Thebes, and is recognized by the mark of a dragon on his body. This leads to the discovery that Antigone is still alive. The demigod Heracles then intercedes and pleads with Creon to forgive Harmon, but in vain. Harmon then kills Antigone and himself. The intercession by Heracles is also represented on a painted vase. Adaptations. The stories of Antigone has been a popular subject for books, plays, and other works, including Antigone, one of the three extant Theban plays by Sophocles, the most famous adaptation, Antigone, a play by Euripides which is now lost except for some fragments, Antigone, opera by Tommaso Tratta, libretto by Marco Coltellini, Antigone, opera by Joseph Misliviec, libretto by Gaetano Roccaforte, Antigone, play by Jean Cocteau, Antigone, opera by Carl Orff, Antigone, play by Jean Anouilh, Antigone legend, for soprano and piano, by Frederick Rzewski, I1/2 I to the first I³ I1/2. Opera by Mikis Theodorakis, Antigone, opera by Tunda Lié, Antigone Furiosa, play by Griselda Gambara, The Island, play by Athol Fugard, La Pasiaque d'Ensaga en Antigone par copyright res Passion according to Antigone par copyright res, adaptation of Sophocles by Puerto Rican writer Luis Rafael Zar Nchez, updated to 20th century Latin America, Antigone, play by Salvador Esbu, Ænʻtɪɡəniः, an African Antigone by Femia Sophison, Antigone, adaptation of Sophocles play by Peruvian poet José copyright Watanabe, Antigone, opera by Mark Alberger, Antigone, comic book by David Hopkins, Antigone by Henry Bokeh, Antigone's Red. A short play by Kaori Miyagawa, The Burial at Thebes by Seamus Heaney, adapted into a 2008 opera with music by Dominique Legenda. Antigone, play by Mac Wellman, Antigone var copyrightless adaptation of Sophocles play by Argentinian writer Leopoldo Marechal, Antigone an opera based on fragments by Sophocles and Har paragraph Latin for three choirs and a women trio by Argentine composer Carlos Stella, Antigone by Bertolt Brecht, based on the translation by Friedrich Har paragraph Latin and published under the title Antigone Model 1948. Antigone, play by Antonio D'Alfonso, Antigone, play by Don Taylor http, www.telegraph.co Work Theatre 9303336 Antigone National Theatre Review HTML, Antigone, Australian adaptation by Eamon Flack, published by Currency Press in 2010. Antigone, a modern adaptation by Antonio D'Alfonso, references. This article incorporates text from a publication now in the public domain, Chisholm, Hugh, ed. Encyclopædia Britannica. Cambridge University Press A. Further reading, Antigones by George Steiner. An examination of the legacy of the myth and its treatment in Western art, literature, and thought in drama, poetry, prose, philosophic discourse, political tracts, opera, ballet, film, and even the plastic arts. Steiner, George. Antigones How the Antigone legend has endured in Western literature, art, and thought. New Haven, Yale University Press. ISBN A978-0-300-06915-0. LCCN A96060411. OCLC A318365852. Antigone's Claim, Kinship Between Life and Death by Judith Butler. An examination of the figure of Antigone in literature and philosophy, particularly in Sophocles and in the work of Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, Luce Irigaray and Jacques Lacan. Butler, Judith. Antigone's Claim, Kinship Between Life and Death. The Alec Library Lectures. New York, Columbia University Press. PA 88. ISBN A978-0-231-11895-8. OCLC A43951993. Retrieved May 24, 2011. Zar paragraph Darba Currency CK, Fanny, ed. Feminist Readings of Antigone. New York, SUNY Press, 2010. ISBN 978-1-4384-3278-6. Including classical texts by Judith Butler, Bracha Ettinger, Julia Kosteva, Luce Irigaray and Adriana Cavero. Wilmer, S.E., and Zukor Skate, Audrone, eds. Interrogating Antigone. Oxford, Oxford University Press, 2010. ISBN 978-0-19-955921-3. Including recent texts by Judith Butler, Bracha L. Ettinger, Julia Kosteva and Luce Irigaray. External links, media related to Antigone at Wikimedia Commons.